What's going on, guys? Blake here, and today we are going to be talking about how to practice improving chords and chord transitions. And so specifically if you're a new guitar player, so I would say playing less than a year or so, this video is for you. Okay, so if you are struggling making chords, if you're struggling switching between chords, or if you're struggling strumming and switching chords at the same time, that's what we're going to be talking about today. So 3 different strategies. Let's go ahead and get into it. As always, if you enjoy this video, make sure you like and subscribe. And if you have any specific issues, I'd love to hear about it in the comments below. But let's go and jump in and get going here. So strategy 1, this is focused specifically on memorizing the chord shape. So like if you're trying to play a chord progression and your fingers aren't going where you want them to go. Okay, because I mean, with all of these things, there's a lot of smaller mechanics that goes into it. I consider these almost umbrella techniques, but we'll be focusing on the 2 major things, and that is memorization, muscle memory with the left hand on the fretboard, okay, and then consistency of motion with the picking hand. So being able to do this independently from this, because both hands have to function independently so that they can actually work together. And I know that doesn't necessarily make a whole lot of sense, but it makes sense. Okay, so strategy 1 focuses specifically on the left hand with individual chord shapes. Okay, so with all of these things, you want to make sure you have some kind of metronome, and I actually have one on my phone here that I'm going to be using, so I'm going to go and get that out really quick. And so we're going to use C. It's a very common chord. I have it set to 90 BPM. And with all of these things, you want to make sure you have some kind of backbone, so a metronome or a drum loop, something to play to force yourself to stay in time. Okay, trust me, that makes a huge difference in the long run. Okay, so the idea behind this is we're not going to necessarily focus on switching between 2 things right now, but bolstering muscle memory, and this will expedite the process. I mean, we're talking, it'll take months of work off of what you're trying to do. So I'm going to grab a C here. Now I'm going to count us in, and all we're going to do is we're actually not going to strum anything. We're just going to simply let go. Okay, and it's important to come all the way off, just again to help bolster the muscle memory a lot more. Okay, so it looks like this. I have my C. I'm going to go 1, 2, 3, 4, and lift. Okay, now we're going to do that one more time. This time though, I'm going to keep counting, and we're going to try to make it back to the C. So, and that the second time I get to it, we are going to strum it. So it's going to look like this. So it'll be 1, 2, 3, 4, and lift. 2, 3, 4, and strum. Okay, and what that's doing is that's forcing my muscle memory, because like I said, I have that 4 count window to build. And if you're newer to the guitar, you're probably going to be going 1 finger at a time. That's okay. Okay, that is 100% okay. So let's do that one more time. 1, 2, 3, 4, and lift. 2, 3, 4, and strum. Okay, and so again, what this practices is this practices specifically chord shapes, or building muscle memory on chord shapes. Okay, but what happens, let me turn this off for just a second. What happens if we have 2 chords, right? Let's say we know C, we know G, we know D, we know A minor, whatever, but we have trouble moving from one chord to the next one. So like we're trying to play a song or whatever, but the chord changes are just happening too quick. We can't move to the next one quick enough, right? Well, the problem isn't necessarily in that regard the individual chords, but the mechanic that's happening in between those 2 things, right? So the movement specifically between one chord shape and the next, right? So we need to isolate that particular motion. Okay, so I'm going to add in a G here, so I'm going to do C and G, right? And you can actually do this with any 2 chords, so if you're struggling with 2 specific ones, use those instead of these. Okay, but it's the same principle as strategy 1, except this time what we're going to do is after we lift off, we're going to go ahead and make the 2nd chord. Okay, so let me show you what I'm talking about. My metronome going. Okay, sounds like this. I'm going to go from C to G. Here I go. Ready? 1, 2, 3, 4. I'm going to lift. 2, 3, 4, then G. Okay? Now why this works is instead of practicing the C and then practicing the G, I've already made the C. I've already made chord number 1, right? So now what I'm doing is I'm specifically isolating the movement from one shape to the next. I'm focused on that specific mechanic, and that's actually where the results happen. Okay, and so you can do that anywhere from like 10, 15 times a day, or I mean, heck, if you do it as many times as you can within 10 minutes a day, and you'll find that the speed between two transitions speeds up pretty quick. And what I tell my students normally is if you can make 40 transitions in a minute, and that sounds like a lot, but it's not too bad. If you make 40 transitions in a minute, it's safe to say that you probably have it. Okay, so now for the big one. And this is strumming at the same time as switching chords. And this is a big problem. It's something I get questions about all the time from my own students and other folks. And it's like, how do we develop it? How do I practice it in a way that doesn't sound terrible and all these other things? So I'm going to give you guys an exercise that I mean, honestly, if you're a new guitar player, you can use for the next 6 months. This is going to benefit you guys for a really, really long time. So again, I'm going to stick with my 2 chords here. We'll just do C and G. Those are pretty standard. And my goal here is to implement a consistent motion, an automated consistent motion down here with the pick, right? So if you're left-handed, obviously you'll be doing it the other way, okay? But with the pick, I'm going to be automating it here. And the idea is I'm moving from the elbow, not engaging the wrist, keeping it really, really loose. And every single time, I hear that click. Right? And hopefully that's coming through on the camera. I'm just doing raw camera audio here. Okay? My arm is moving down with that. Okay? Now, my goal is I'm just going to hit every single beat. Okay? And we'll keep it easy. We'll do 8 on each one. Okay, and my goal is to keep this moving regardless of what happens down here. Okay, so it's going to be one of those rubber tummy pat your head type of things. Okay, but we're going to be moving consistently here, even through the switch. So make sure you don't stop. Okay, so let's try that together really quick. Here we go. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. Okay, so you notice that as I'm playing that, this arm is moving consistently the entire time. Now, what's really interesting about that is that's where actually all the upstrokes take place too, right? So I'm moving down with that beat. And you notice my hands having to come up again so that I can go back down again, right? And that's actually where the upstrokes take place, right? And so where a lot of people tend to struggle is they tend to treat the downstrokes and the upstrokes as 2 separate entities when in fact they're connected. Okay, and so the goal of the exercise is actually not just to hit down, but hit down and up, but keeping the hand exactly the same the entire time. You can even leave the metronome off while you do this, especially if you're newer to this, or let's say you're really struggling with this. This is a good way to implement it. Okay, so I have my 2 chords here. What I'm going to do is I'm going to be moving consistent like this, slowly, so I'm not going to be going fast. Something like this, right? And whenever I feel ready, I'm just going to make the G in my own time, meaning that I'm not going to worry about landing on it in a specific count. I can even build it 1 finger at a time like this. And I can do as many as I want, and then I'm going to go back to C again. And my goal, of course, is to keep this wave motion consistent all the way through. And like I said, you spend anywhere from 5 to 10 minutes on that, specifically on the strategy, on the principle, right? Because the thing about songs, guys, and I'm not saying don't learn songs because songs are great, but those things come and they go. I mean, you'll learn a song now, 2 months later, you might not remember it. Okay, but the things that stay with you forever, so chord transitions are always there. You'll always need to know how to strum, right? Those are the things that persist through everything that you do. That's actually where the results are, right? So focus on those things. If you practice all 3 of these principles, or you can just choose one and run through it depending on where you are, you will see results, guys. Okay, so hopefully this helps. If we didn't touch anything or something wasn't 100% clear, feel free to leave a comment below and we'll see if we can't figure out what's going on. All right. So I'm going to try and do more of these lesson videos this year. We'll see how it goes. But anyway, leave a like, subscribe, and I will see you guys next time.